Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Blue Sunday, proudly on the Jumper Punch channel. My name is Bangkok Joe, here in Bangkok, obviously, although it doesn't look like it by the screen. And joining me in our luxurious Melbourne studios, former Carltonian president and life member of the Carlton Football Club, Mr. Vince Locissano, or Big Vincenz. How are you today, Vince?
G'day, Joe. How are you, mate? Have you recovered from Thursday night yet?
What happened Thursday? Well, isn't round one this week? Isn't round one this week? Did we play?
No, we actually played the first game of round one, as we usually do, against Richmond on Thursday night. And we got our underpants pulled down. That's basically how it felt to me.
Wasn't that a practice match? I thought it was a Wizard Cup game.
Yeah, everyone went in there. I think even the players went in there thinking it was just going to happen. But
Vince,
we'll dissect the game soon. But to be honest with you, there's only one word that comes to mind after that performance: embarrassing.
Let's be a little bit, I don't know, politically correct. Hey, before we start with all our stuff, just here's a quick comment about how people are feeling. I know that one.
Bangkok G.
No, this one.
Wow, Sandra McDonald. Wow, she dropped the F-bomb. G'day, Sandra. Nice to have you back.
Hey, listen, Vince, let's get this show on the road. Quickly, as you know, we are Blue Sunday, proudly brought to you by the Jumper Punch. The Jumper Punch channel, who we are on, have a new sponsor this year, and it is the Sporting Globe Bar and Grill at Northland. And I'm led to believe that they're going to have some functions and some specials there. So keep your eyes and ears out on Tuesday night on the Jumper Punch show and all the other related shows, and you'll hear all about it. Blue Sunday is proudly sponsored by my company, Retired Working For You Tours, here in Bangkok. So if there's anything you want to know about Bangkok, Thailand, or even the neighbouring countries, please feel free to give me a call, or you can get me on that website. Also, Vince, as people know, we are a social media enterprise. So you will find us on our Facebook page at Blue Sunday, and on YouTube, you can find us on this channel at The Jumper Punch. So people like, share, and subscribe. We rely on your feedback. We do this for you, not for ourselves. So please share it. We don't care if they're Carlton supporters, Collingwood supporters. Vince and I and our special guest have thick skins. We can take it all. Can't we, Vince? Hey,
well, we had to take a fair bit on Thursday night, didn't we? So
hey, Vince,
I even got the scarf on tonight. I feel like I've strangled myself with it at the moment.
No, we just got an important announcement from the police. Apparently, they're searching for 22 Carlton players who went missing after half time. So if anyone has seen those Carlton players, can they please call Crime Stoppers immediately? I believe the Carlton Football Club are offering a reward of a free membership to keep them at home. So if you keep them in your home, you get a free membership.
I love that. I was just reading that. They were saying that they've brought in heavy equipment to assist with the investigation. It's believed the players were last sighted running in the opposite direction to the Siren that was on the field as the halftime siren came over the ground. More to come.
I mean, their parents and loved ones are very worried. So if people find them, please can they report Crime Stoppers straight away. But Vince, not only, out of every negative, there comes a positive, right?
Yeah.
And the Carlton shop were quick to bring out a couple of new products. And the first, there's two of them. So the exciting new collaboration, Carlton Soft Butter. Okay? So
yes.
I don't know the price. And also for you fishermen or you people camping, there's an amazing fold-up chair. It folds with the slightest bit of pressure. So
I love that Carlton Soft Butter. Instead of salt reduced, it says skill reduced.
Well, I mean, I believe it's a very big seller. So anyway, not to worry.
But it doesn't take long for them to come out with some funny stuff, does it?
No, it doesn't. Hey, Vince, we have someone special waiting for us in the wings, and I'm sure I'm sure he's got a bit to say about what happened on Thursday night.
No doubt. In fact, my understanding is he is very, very pissed off with what he saw on Thursday night, and he's not going to hold back tonight.
Well, the one and only Norm Smith medalist played the game at the highest level, Mr. David Rhys-Jones. How are you, David?
There he is.
Oh, very good, thanks. Yeah. No, we had a good lunch today, so I caught up with quite a few people. So it was a good day, and
yes, it was a wonderful lunch that we had today at the Carlton Life Members Luncheon at the Q Golf Club. Fantastic lunch, and it was good to see you there, Rhys, and amongst a whole heap of other Premiership players and Life members. It was terrific.
Yeah, a good day, and a good day to forget about last Thursday. So
it's amazing no one talked about the football.
No. What was the sentiment? It was embarrassing to every Carlton supporter. I actually had someone ask me. I said, if you're Michael Voss, what would you do? And this is straight after the game. I said, I'd grab the captain, I'd grab Cripper, I'd go down in front of the press, and I would apologise to every Carlton supporter. And I would guarantee that sort of performance will never happen again. And players, jobs are on the line, basically. I hope there's 3 or 4 blokes dropped this week. People are just not up to it at the moment, or not having a go. And pretty easy to, pick 3 or 4 of them and put some kids in who will have a go, and just set the tone for everyone to know that, if you, and especially the way Vossi was as a player himself, he would have been disgusted with it. It wasn't an effort. You couldn't even call it an effort. So disgusted with that performance. And hopefully it gets through to him, because, geez, Hawthorn are going to spank us on Thursday if we don't turn it round, and we need to turn it round very quick.
David, there's a good question there. What would have happened in your day if that sort of effort? Like Sticks was Sticks captain when you were there, or was it who was the captain?
Well,
what would he have said to you?
I can tell you what Robert Walls. I mean, we actually got beaten by Richmond one day, and we had a function on that night on a Saturday. We got beaten by Richmond, who were pretty poor at the time. Similar type of thing it was. I think we're up early in the game, and then they just kept coming back, and they had a pretty poor team and beat us. Well, we went to the function. He said, everyone has to go to the function. I don't know what it was, a club ball or something, and we went to the function. He said, I want to see everyone there at 6:30 in the morning. Bring your mouth guards, and it was on. So and not only that, he tore strips off blokes, tore strips off players, and so he should have. If you're going to put a performance like that, you're going to cop the brunt of it. So and where the mouth guards in, and it was full on one-on-one type of stuff, and this is the next morning after a game. So do you
think they do that? Do you think they do that in today's day and age?
No, they wouldn't even. They'd be too scared to even yell at him. I mean, and I'm hoping Vossi did. Sometimes you just got to let loose. You just got to give it to them and hit them between the eyes, because they need to know the truth. And it was they didn't respect their opponents. They went out there expecting to just coast through, bruise-free football, and not get hurt, and look forward to the following week against Hawthorn. And they paid a massive penalty. And any team, I mean, you're coming up to round one. Everyone's up and going. Everyone's excited. You want to be part of it. You just can't give games away like that. So that was terrible. It was. Do
you think they took their opposition lightly? Do you think that they just thought, this is just a bunch of kids, we'll knock these over, that'll be easy?
You could see by the lack of effort they did. They just didn't tackle. They were slipping over. Harry Mackay was getting pushed aside by a 13, 14 game second or third year player. That's just crap. That's just weak. The butter, you could have called it Mackay butter probably. if you wanted to, because, geez, you know, for a big bloke, he needs to start showing a bit because I thought about it, you know, on the way home, and I thought we haven't got one bloke with a bit of shit in him in our whole squad. Not one. They're all nice blokes. They're all nice. And I put that back to Stephen Silvani. He recruited nice people, you know, because he had his kids there. He had, you know, he didn't want anyone in there who's going to be a bit of a shitster or have a bit of go about him. But you look at our premiership teams and you look at blokes like Johnson and Buckley and, you know, you go back through them all and, you know, they had people who had a genuine bit of nastiness about in them, and it goes a long way. I mean, why do you put Cripper up against Nankervis, who has got a bit of shit in him, and you throw him into the ruck? For God's sake, you know, you're trying to kill our
baffling, isn't it?
Off in one bloody hit, you know. And they had blokes like that. I mean, Lynch coming through, hitting DeConning with a shoulder. They got blokes who'll do that. We haven't got any.
Yeah.
None of our blokes get reported. You know, they're weak as bloody piss.
What did you think of the performance what did you think of the performance of the bloke who you handed the number 26 Guernsey to before the start of the season, our new prize recruit from GWS, Nick Haynes? How did you see his first performance in the navy blue?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I handed him the jumper before the game, and I felt like in the third quarter jumping the fence and ripping it off his back and taking it back, to be honest. But
I can't blame you for that.
And you know, look, hopefully that's an off night, and he was, you know, maybe they were all in the same boat and just not mentally tuned to, which is a terrible slide on them as footballers. First game of the season, if that was the case, they just weren't ready for it, and because you know, it's a long season and they need to hit the ground running round one and just go for it, because anything can happen. And take the wins, but you got to earn the wins too. You don't just get them given to you, and that's what they might have expected. Or the other side of it, have we overrated them? Are they overrated?
Well, that's it. That's the big question that's being asked at the moment. I hear on lots of different, you know, TV shows, radio talk shows, etc. Has everyone overrated Carlton's list? I mean, apart from what you would have to regard as A graders in Cripps and Wiedering and, you know, all Australians like them, and Coleman medalists like Mackay and Curnow, to a lesser extent probably Walsh. But apart from your top 4 or 5, does it really drop away quite dramatically, where the rest of the players on the list just can't be relied upon to perform week in, week out? They're just so, you know, patchy in terms of when they perform and when they don't.
You know, and I've been a big defender of this squad, and I believe it. You know, I've had a lot of belief in them, but and you hear the Kane Corns and these blokes and David Kings and that sort of Mick McGuan was another one, getting in and having a crack, and maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. Maybe we just haven't got the list we think we have. I'd like to see some improvement in players. Our players don't improve. They don't get better as they.
So who's responsible for development down at the club? I mean, we talk about development like it only relates to young kids coming through, but even your senior list has to keep improving, doesn't it? I mean,
exactly.
You're going backwards technically if you're not improving, because the rest of the competition is improving.
Well, and our players are hitting that mark where they're around that, you know, mid-20, you know, to 30 sort of mark, and that's when you should be playing your best footy. And but we don't have any that jump out and really have a breakout year, and you know, they just peter along, and I don't know what they're doing down there, but it's not working at the moment. So they need to change things around.
I can't help but feel that. In the off, yes, Joe. Sorry,
I was going to say let's go through the scores and the stats, and then you can go through, because
then we'll come back.
There's a lot to discuss. I mean, I think there's a lot to discuss, and people are saying a lot of things. So just Vince, if you'd like to go through the scores, it's okay.
Through the fundamentals. Okay, so what we've got here, of course, is the quarter by quarter scores, with Richmond eventually winning 13 goals for 82, with only the 17 scoring shots to Carlton 9, 15, 69, 24 scoring shots. And as you can see, we got off to a flyer of a start, 5 goals for, probably could have been more. 34 to 117 at quarter time. That was a very comfortable 27-point lead. And I think probably, the majority of people there would have been thinking, how much is Carlton going to win by tonight? And probably the players were thinking that too, I suppose. We continued on, kicked the first couple of goals in the second quarter, and we're actually up something like 7-6-48 to 117. So that was the 41-point game-high lead that we had. And then all of a sudden, Richmond kicked the last 3 goals of the second quarter and got the score back to something half respectable at half-time, 7-8-50 to 4-1-25. So we were double their score, but 25 points was probably a bit light on for how much we had dominated up until that point, at least until about halfway through the second quarter. But then the game changed, didn't it? It just, we probably thought Carlton were going to come out and put them away, but it was actually the opposite. Richmond kicked 5 goals to 1 in the third quarter to be basically even at three-quarter time. 8-9-57 to Carlton, 9-3-57 to Richmond. And then you would have thought, geez, Voss is surely going to hop into them here and we're going to finally, get out of first gear and come home with the points. But it was actually the other way around again. 4 goals to 1 in the last quarter. And that was the final score, 13-4-82 to 9-15-69. And a shell-shocked Carlton fan base just walked away from that ground on Thursday night. We all were just shaking our heads saying, what the hell's just happened? The major goal kickers, Richmond had four dual goal kickers. They were Campbell, Lawler, Nankervis and Ross, all kicking 2 goals each. And Carlton's goals were all kicked by single goal kickers. So, what can you say?
Do you want to go through the stats there, Vince?
Okay, these are the stats that were, the ones that we identified as having the greatest discrepancy between the teams. So if you don't see anything there, it's because the two teams were pretty even. For example, you'll see nothing there about tackles. The tackle count was pretty similar. So it wasn't something that we put up here today. So disposals, Carlton, funnily enough, had a lot more of the ball. 404 disposals, which were made up of 231 kicks and 173 hand passes. To Richmond, 351 possessions, 194 kicks and 157 hand passes. So we had a lot more of the ball. The disposal efficiency, however, they were better, 73% to 65. We did butcher the ball a bit at times. Contested possession, we won that 164 to 143. Uncontested possessions, we also won quite comfortably, 228 to 189. Marks, we outmarked them. 11 contested marks each, but we had 77 uncontested marks to 55. Marks inside 50, we had 10 to 7. Bounces, we had 10 bounces for the game. I reckon Adam Sard would have had a fair few of those. And Richmond only had 2. So far, you'd probably be saying, geez, Carlton looks like they're going to win this game. But this is where it really told on the scoreboard. Well, scoring shots, despite having 24 scoring shots, we kicked 9 goals, 15 from our 24, and they kicked 13 goals, 4. So inside 50 efficiency, they had 43%. So that's 17 scoring shots from only 40 entries. We had 65 entries into the forward 50 and only had 24 scoring shots from them. So we only had 37% efficiency into our inside 50. And then this is the big one, shooting accuracy. And this is this all comes down to that old adage, bad kicking is bad football. Well, especially when it comes to kicking for goal. 76% Richmond. So they had 13 goals from 17 scoring shots. And we could only manage 38% accuracy, 9 goals from the 24 scoring shots that we had. So that really, therein, told a story to a large degree. And our kicking efficiency and handball efficiency wasn't great. At times we missed the target that might have only been 5 or 10 metres away. We still hand passed over people's heads and kicked over their heads and that sort of thing. So, Rhys, I know you're not a stats man necessarily, but I guess to some extent that those last 2 or 3 really told a story when it came to goal scoring efficiency and also just disposal efficiency in general.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes they the stats do tell a story, and we were wasteful. We were, but it was, those forward entries. I mean, they were either bombed in long to Harry, or we're kicking the ball a motlop on 2 players or something stupid like that. I mean, we just don't go into our forward line in a manner that's going to score. I mean, we have a real haphazard. Our forwards don't move. I mean, we put Kemp down there, and you expect him to be leading up and offering something. And he sits back. He wants to take the big mark. He wants to, and he's easy to play on as a back.
We can't kick.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I mean, he's not going to get the ball. He's not going to get the ball because he's going to run and jump at everything. So, as a backman, they're the players you love because all you need to do is step across in front of them. They've got nowhere to go. And, I mean, you can block them legally very, very easily. And he needs to work out, how to play forward line or get back to the back line. And then, but we don't make any moves. We don't make the moves. We put Silvani there way too late. Yeah. We made
he
no
brought
moves.
Docherty on way too late.
Well, yeah, probably should have
played.
And
why did he take Lord off?
Yeah,
I don't know why he took Lord off when that Frankie Evans.
Yeah, Frankie Evans didn't do much.
Jesse Moss, you're talking about.
One at a time, fellas.
He hasn't improved. Yeah, sorry, he hasn't improved.
No, he hasn't. Unfortunately, he hasn't. He looks lazy out there. I mean, he needs to get up the ground. He needs to get more of the ball. I mean, you think these blokes would want to, especially in a young team like Richmond, who inexperienced, and they made a lot of mistakes. Don't get me wrong, they made a lot of mistakes. But what they did do is they had a crack. They had a real dip. We had broken tackles on kids walking through, sort of thing, and it's just that's when you know it's above the shoulders. When tackles are being broken, you know that they're not fair income. They're not switched on because the smallest blokes. I mean, Liberatore used to be one of the best tacklers, in the competition. He's the smallest bloke playing, so. You can't ever tell me that, blokes can't tackle. Anyone can tackle anyone. You just got to have that mindset that, you're going to stick it.
Yeah.
And, we played bruise-free football and paid a big price for it.
Tell me, Rhys, early in the game, it looked for all money like we had their measure. We were going along comfortably, really. 5 goals, 4-1 at quarter time. And then we kicked the first couple of goals in the second quarter and, we had that 41-point lead, and I think most people were thinking, Carlton by how much here? In fact, I heard people around me talking, this is going to be a 100-point win and all this sort of talk. Now, what changed? Because clearly not even halfway through that quarter, things changed. And to give Adamuzze some credit, he changed a few things up. And all of a sudden, they started getting their hands on the ball a lot more and started making the most of whatever forward entries they had. And Voss didn't seem to respond to any of that. And even after half time, when he had the chance to respond to it, nothing seemed to change. So what did you detect was the key to the momentum swinging from Carlton to Richmond after about halfway through the second quarter?
I think DC just hit the nail on the head there. But they're the same problems we were having last year. All the same problems. We haven't changed much of how we play. We have not changed a thing, and we need. I want to see us coming into our forward line a lot smarter, and just being smart with the footy. But we're missing handballs to blokes, handballing behind them, and we just dumb stuff. some of the things McGovern done on the back line, that kick, off the ground, just dumb
terrible
stuff. Just dumb.
That's lazy, but that's lazy, isn't it?
Well, it is lazy, and it's just getting rid of a problem. And that's all he was doing there. He wasn't going to pick it up and do anything else with it. So just boot it off the ground, get rid of it, get out of my area. That's, as you say, it's lazy. It's just and not productive for the team. So I hope that there's some changes this week. I hope that you got to bring blokes in who want to play. Bring Binns in, instead of Evans. You look at him. I mean, Motlop, he's got to go. I think Matt Carroll played pretty well on the weekend. I don't know much about him, but put him in the team. Put him in. Just put him in. You've got to start putting them in. You've got to start showing that it's just not good enough. We're not going to put up with that standard of football, and you can't be rewarded week in, week out, and keep getting games when you're performing like that. So, have a rest, go back for a week, learn how to play again, and then come back when you're ready and when you're prepared to tackle and chase and do the hard stuff, because it doesn't matter who you're playing against. The 1%ers are so important. They are just so important, and that's where we fell away in our game, and that's where they were great from the start. They were desperate. They had a good back line. They really did, broad.
But I just noticed when we got 41 points up, they didn't drop their heads. It was almost like someone had told them, listen, I don't care how many times you stuff up. I don't care if you make mistakes. I don't care if you turn the ball over. Just keep going after the next one. Keep going after the next contest and the next one. And if you keep persisting, it'll turn around. And that's exactly what happened. To give those young Richmond boys some credit, it wasn't just us taking them easy. They actually took the game right up to us. And I think that the more the game went on, the better they looked and the worse we were looking. If they had another quarter, they probably would have beaten us by 6 or 7 goals.
Yeah. Oh, look. I mean, we kicked 1-6 in the last quarter, so we had our chances. We did. We had
a lot of entries, but very inefficient.
To be perfectly honest, I left at 3/4 time. And I thought a couple of reasons. I wasn't going to go to the match to start with, and Shano asked me to come and present a jumper, so I decided to go, and I was going to leave early anyway. But I wasn't confident at 3/4 time. I was not confident at all. I thought, there's another excuse to get out is I don't want to be around when all these Richmond supporters are bloody yelling and screaming and carrying on like they do, and. So I watched the last quarter at home, and it was it was not good. Not good.
Did you happen to see the press conference after the game from Michael Voss?
I saw a little bit of it, but to be perfectly honest,
he was questioned at one point where I think the journalist said, you got up to 41 points up, and then after that, Richmond came back and took all the momentum away from him. He said, "Do you think your boys took the opposition lightly?" And he said, "Gee, I hope not."
Yeah.
His answer was.
If he doesn't know,
Gee, I hope not.
To be perfectly honest,
I think that's the answer you give when you know that they have. I think he knows full well that they took the opposition too lightly.
Well, as I said earlier, I would have apologised on behalf of the players, and I would have said. That's just not the standards we set, and people will pay. They'll be running around the twos next week. This is what needs to happen. We need to put our foot down, have high standards, and meet them every week. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. We have standards that we have to meet every week, and if players aren't going to do it, there's too few. Cripper must be pulling his hair out there. He's into everything, week in, week out. They throw him in the ruck. He does the ruck work and gets tap outs and gets the ball out of that. They throw him forward, trying to generate things. He'd be entitled to say, look, if everyone else is being selfish, I want to stay in the middle and win another Brownlow. I want 3 Brownlows. He's not like that, but he'd have every right to say that. If a selfish football team and they're not playing for each other, I'll be selfish. I'll be selfish myself and have 3 Brownlows by the end of my career and walk away a bloody hero and no premiership. So,
but
can I just sorry, Joe, go on.
No, it's all right, go Vince.
No, where you go?
I was just going to say it's the same shit, different year. You got 3 or 4 blokes that put in, and the others all just stand around waiting for it to happen, right? They don't put the how Harry McKay can get pushed around. He's 110 kilos, and he's the biggest sook. If things don't go his way, he throws his arms up in the air and crosses his arms, and then he's just. To me, I would just drop him and just go, look, go and get some balls, mate. You're just piss weak. I really don't understand. And then they want to pay him all this money. I mean, who could hold their head up high on Thursday night? Patrick Cripps, Jacob Wienering, I guess. Jack Silvani wasn't a star, but he hadn't played for football for 15 months. I thought he did quite well, right?
Well, he tried.
He tried.
There were people who did try, I mean, you can see the way they go about it, but there's too few who didn't, and we just haven't. I don't know what it is. I just don't. I can't put my finger on it, but we try and play a pretty game of football, and we're not that good. You know what I mean? We try and hit them lights out. Everything has to be designed so we get the ball and we get it in. We've got our big forwards and everything has to be perfect. Well, football's not perfect. Sometimes you just got to sprag. You got to kick you just got to do anything, just bash and crash type football and get it moving our way, whichever way possible. And you just got to take some risks at times. We don't take any risks. Coming back through the middle, different things. I don't know. We're a team that, but then again, we've seen it before that they could come out and beat Hawthorn this week. I don't think they will.
Could. I know.
They could. They have the ability to come out and beat a team like Hawthorn this week. I mean, there's, but they have to have a crack. They have to have it. They have to have every single player wanting to be there and having a fair income go. And if they're not doing that, then they're not going to beat anyone.
Hey, Rhys.
Can I ask David? I just want to ask David, what do you actually think of Voss as a coach?
Look,
be diplomatic. I don't know he's crap. And
look, I know. I think we would be the most predictable team to play against, and that makes it easy. When you're predictable, you are so easy for the opposition to sit back and man up,
pick you apart,
and plot against you. Just pick it apart, exactly. Yeah. And we don't change the way we play. We just play dumb football. We don't bring the ball into the forward line well, and we don't open it up for our forwards to move into. Our forwards don't move enough. They're stationary with their hand up in the air. There's just a number of facets of the way we play football, which is dumb, and it's so predictable. It's just you're sitting there and you're going, Jesus Christ, another bloody bombing the ball into it. And the defenders just come over and they're 2 and 3 against Harry McKay or Charlie when he's there, and they got their hand in the air, kick it to me, sort of thing. And you got to work harder than that. You got to work hard. I mean, if you want rewards, you got to work for it.
What about his assistant coaches then? Do we have to say they're not up to it?
Well, it's too hard to know who's doing what, but
I'll tell you one thing about the assistant coaches. None of them have changed.
No, but you got Aaron Hamill, who's the defensive coach. I've never seen him play a defensive game.
From year to year, we haven't achieved what we want, and yet all the assistant coaches keep their jobs.
Yep.
I would have thought last year finishing 8th, scraping into the 8, and then getting smashed in the elimination final. 60-0 at one point, would have been regarded as a failure compared with what the expectations were based on the fact that we made a preliminary final the year before. So why hasn't anyone been made accountable for last year's underperforming result? That's what I want to know. What I was also going to just allude to, Rhys, in terms of our preparation for this season, it's hardly the ideal preparation, is it? I mean, the club's had quite a few little controversies, from anything from, the president and his scandal with the dick pic scenario to and then resigning to players like Elijah Hollands who literally on the eve of the season starting puts the team into a bit of I guess at least unsettled the team, if not into a little bit of turmoil, by saying, hey, I need to take time off. And also, of course, from a trading and recruiting point of view, we really did put all of our eggs into one basket in order to get one player at number 3 in the draft, and he went down with a knee injury. So you lose Matthew Kennedy, you lose Matthew Owies, who kicked well over 30 goals last year, you lose Jack Carroll, and, you get picks 12 and 14, and you swap all of those players, and through all of that, you get pick 3, and then he goes down in one hit. And technically, we've got a worse list than last year now in terms of players that are available. And also, of course, don't forget the really big loss, which I think probably impacted us more than any other player not out there on Thursday night, and that's Nick Newman, who has been a very, very consistent defender and second in the best and fairest last year. So he was a big loss. I felt his lack of presence on the ground obviously impacted our defence as well. They didn't quite look as settled as they would normally be when Nick Newman plays. So add all of that up together, and is it really that surprising that we turned up and didn't perform on Thursday night when you really look back on it?
Well, yeah, but then again, that's bad luck is synonymous with this over the last few years, and we have had our fair share of it, and
sure.
blokes, with Newman and I.
But especially the thing with the president and Elijah Hollands, those were the two big ones, in my opinion, that would have unsettled the club, and everything would have felt like the place has been turned upside down a little bit.
Yeah, who knows what the Elijah Holland thing is? We can all speculate on that, but he's had history which isn't good. So that's and he's a player I was really looking forward to watching this year. Really looking forward to him. So that in itself's disappointing. That he's not out there, and we don't know the circumstances, and you hate to speculate on things like that because you could find out something down the track which is makes you look like
we shouldn't assume anything, should we?
So exactly, but it's disappointing not having him out there. It's real disappointing not having him out there, and hopefully he's back pretty soon because we need him. We need him.
And Charlie, of course, Charlie Curnow still recovering from off-season knee surgery. That, obviously not having him out there would have impacted the forward line. So all of these little things take a bit of a snippet out of the team, don't they? The lack of Newman in defence, the lack of Curnow up forward, and the lack of Jagger.
It gives opportunity, though. It gives opportunity. How about these blokes who are given the opportunity? Get out there and say, gee, here's my bloody chance. Here's my chance. I'm going to take it on now. I'm going to bloody go out and tackle. I'm going to be a tackling machine. I'm just going to do everything I can to stay in this team. And why?
And one of those players that probably had that opportunity to show his wares was the player who Michael Voss ended up substituting out of the game, and that's Cooper Lord. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, no, I thought he was ordinary, to be honest. So I didn't think he in that midfield, I didn't think he'd done much at all. I thought he got caught. He looked a bit slow in there at times, but he wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one.
No.
I thought, so
because the other one I was going to ask you about is a far more senior player than him, and in fact, one of our vice captains, and that's Sam Walsh. Yep. He seems to be lacking an ability to really hurt the opposition.
Well, he can't run
in
like
most
he used
of his
to.
recent matches. Yeah.
Well,
do you think he's 100% fit?
No. And that's well. And look, I mean, his first half wasn't bad. He was okay in the first half, and then, but you can just tell by the way he's playing. He just hasn't got that running ability at the moment, and he had an injury, over the preseason too, so he might have been, underdone, and maybe we would have been better off with a Jackson Binns or someone in there. I mean, we saw in the final last year, you just can't bring underdone players in and expect, at this level of sport, you're going to come unstuck. So, it's.
I heard Sam Walsh in a post-match interview informing everyone that was the first time he'd played in a round one match since 2021. It was the first time he'd played under Voss in an opening round game. In all the previous seasons, for one reason or another, he was missing.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't play any practice matches.
Mainly injured, and he's had that back concern. He's had a few.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
and you just, as I said, we've had no luck along the way with with those sort of things either. So, you can, it doesn't take away from the fact that you've got to get out there and have a crack. And we can bring up excuses or anything, but it doesn't matter how injured you are or how restricted you are. You get out and have a go. You just don't, and especially playing a bunch of kids who are going to be excited. They're going to be, up and going, and you basically put your authority on them. And hey, hang on, kid, you're playing a man's game now, and just settle down and you can't do it the way we used to, but you sort of you let them know that they're in for a hard night. They're not going to get an easy kick, and that's why.
Tell you one player that started off like a house on fire for us. I read somewhere that he had 16 possessions in the first quarter, but he ended up with 26 for the match. So after quarter time, he was finding it a hell of a lot harder to find the ball, and that's Adam Chera. Probably the best first quarter I've ever seen him play. But yeah, he dropped right off too, like the rest of the team, really. But I was encouraged by his first quarter performance. That's for sure. He was everywhere.
Yeah. Well, they were, because they're better footballers. They're a better football. As footballers, line them all up against each other, and they're better than what Richmond had out there. So that's the most disappointing thing, that you look at that and you get beaten by a team that's nowhere near the quality that you are.
Yeah.
That's once again, as I said, that's above the shoulders. That's not,
and it's ticker, isn't it? I mean, the Richmond players really did want it.
You're not fair income. You're not fair income, and
Hey, tell me, Rhys, what did you think of the decision to play Sam Docherty as a substitute and only come on at 3/4 time? Well, or basically start of the last quarter.
Yeah.
And by the way, what do you see when you're watching him play? Do you think he's starting to struggle to keep up with the pace? Is he losing a yard of pace here and there after all these knee surgeries and what have you? Or
Sam Docherty has a gun.
Or do we just need to give him time?
Sam Docherty tries. You can see it. He's out there trying. He
made an immediate impact, didn't he?
Exactly. He doesn't know how not to. He's a bit like young Jack Silvani, but I'd have him out there. I'd have him out there because he's not going to let you down. He's not going to let you down. He's going to have a go. So we're going to start. We're going to start rewarding the blokes who want to have a go and will have a go, and bloody turf the blokes who don't want to have a go, who are not going to be prepared to put their body on their line for their mates or whatever, because we're going nowhere otherwise. And
I think we owe it to him to give him some time to find his touch again, because don't forget, we only played the first game of last year and the last game of last year, and Thursday night was his third game in
he's done a whole pre-season. He's put it this way: if he's not fit to go in round one, why is he still on the list then?
But he also provides a lot of leadership out there, and
yeah, exactly.
And if that first kick for goal he had have gone
that's
through,
what we needed out there.
Post.
You need players who, Richmond kick a couple of goals, who are out there on the field and saying, "Hey, we're going to stop this and get around." You need generals out there who are going to do something about it and rev up the blokes around you. You've got to create a bit of excitement yourself and come on, what's bloody going on? Fire up your bloody weak pricks or whatever. You've got to get out there and have blokes who are going to do that. So you don't have them out there if they're sitting on the pine. You lose that as well.
So therefore, you don't agree with the decision to make him the sub. You would have started him on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I put it this way: if he's good enough to play, he's good enough to be on the ground. And there's no reason round one. Yeah. You don't just play your best team possible, and if he's not part of it, then.
Well, again, Voss was questioned about this in the press conference, and he basically said, "Well, we picked the team that we thought was most in form, and based on what they did in the pre-season, we selected the 22 that we thought were the best 22 to go out there from the start." So, in other words, he didn't regard Docherty as being part of that 22, and I tend to agree with you that you're better off having him out there for his on-field leadership, if nothing else.
Yeah,
and because I think we lack a lot of on-field leadership personally, but he's a proven commodity, isn't he?
Yeah. And once again, they seem to be a bunch of introverts, rather than extroverts. I mean, they're just, that doesn't help either. I mean, and we're going to be coming up against, blokes who are extroverts this week, the Wizard and bloody Jack Ginnivan and these blokes running around. They'll embarrass us again this weekend if
we're not careful.
Do what they did. They'll do what they and you know what they're going to do? They're going to run. They're going to run, Hawthorn. That's what they do. They run.
Well, that's what they did last year, didn't they, when they smashed us? Yeah,
they just absolutely smashed us. And I can't see it being any different this time around, to be honest, because what could you see out of last week that was going to make life hard for Hawthorn, the way they're going at the moment? Nothing.
Yeah, about the only thing we could be hoping for is that the 6-day break that Hawthorn's going to get might just tell on them at some point in the last quarter, but most teams can tolerate a 6-day break and still perform. Jesse Motlop was the last player I wanted to ask you about. What did you make of his game after some encouraging signs in some of the pre-season games? He didn't score a goal.
His game was pathetic, to be honest. It was mediocre, and that. He accepts that, though. He plays like that a lot and accepts it. So you don't see him trying to do something to change the way he's playing. And he's a kid who hasn't improved. He's
gotten worse.
People talk about practice matches and form leading in, and I think Vossi mentioned it too. We're playing the blokes in form. Practice matches mean nothing. They mean nothing. No. Carlton used to win.
Well, that 10-goal win over GWS that we had, what has that proven in the end?
Exactly.
We get done by Richmond, who everyone thought wouldn't even win a game.
They mean nothing. They mean nothing. People aren't showing their full set of cards in a practice match. So
not at all.
They're Mickey Mouse games. You try and get through. You get, put it this way, I've either tried to, not get injured or get reported, to be perfectly honest, in a practice match, which happened a few times. But anyway, that's helped myself at times. But they're a way of just getting your body conditioned for that first round. You're not thinking about any other game but that first round and coming out 100 miles an hour then and strutting your stuff because they mean nothing, but they are good to get your body conditioned to the bumps and the tackles and everything you're going to cop throughout the course of the season because they give you a chance of hardening up a bit. And we used to play about 4 practice matches before the season started. So
in fact, Carlton very rarely ever won practice matches back in the day.
When they didn't win, they
then
won
you'd come out and
premierships.
blitz them in round one and win premierships by the end of the year. So, yeah. Anyway.
David, what do you think of young Lucas Camporeale?
Yes.
Yeah, no, very, very well. I'll tell you what it made me think, because apparently the other one's better. So
yeah, apparently,
yeah. So if the better one's like him, then we've got a couple of good young kids there anyway to look forward to. And
it was a good debut.
Hopefully they persist with him, or yeah.
He wasn't the worst.
No, I thought his first half in particular was pretty good. So he was he was a shining light on a very dim night,
dreary night. Yeah.
Okay, I think we've spoken enough about our dreariness. Let's get to the votes. And herein lies the problem. It's going to be the same. No, it's going to be the same three players every week, right? And
well, in some ways, let's hope so, because
and throwing Curnow, maybe Curnow as well, and all the rest of them will just sit around and watch in awe and just not do anything. But anyway, David, go through your votes, please.
Oh, look, I went with Cripper because he was thrown every role there was to have in the game, and stupidly thrown into the ruck at times. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, look, put it this way: if he's caught out at one stage and he has to do the ruck, then fair enough. But to designate him as the ruckman going around for a while, but and it probably wasn't his greatest game, but he'll probably get a Brownlow vote or two out of that anyway.
I've got a rumour.
He pulled last year, he probably got 3 for it anyway. But
no, I've got a rumour for you, Rhys. Apparently, he's already got 6 Brownlow votes after round 1.
Because he played round 0.
I reckon the umpires might be harsh on him this year, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I reckon they might just bring the thing back into balance this year. I think you'll find it hard to get many votes or even free kicks, to be honest.
But look. Paddy Cripps is Paddy Cripps. You know what you're going to get there, and yeah, he's a good leader. I think it was Wiedering who spoke to the boys after the match, who a bit of a dressing down. So, which is good to see in some ways. It doesn't have to be Cripper, but I wouldn't mind hearing from Cripper after that game though. And that's what I said. But anyway, Tom De Koning, I thought his battle was intriguing with Nankervis, and I thought Nankervis had a pretty good game as well. So they were the 2 dominant big men out there, and Jacob Wiedering, I thought just his presence out there, especially early in the game when Richmond, they were looking dangerous at times. He was just that solid brick wall back there as usual, and those 3 tried and had a crack, and not many went with them.
Vince?
Yes, I also went for Patrick Cripps. It's probably not the most dominating game you'll ever see him play, but I still felt that he was our best player on the ground, and he did everything that was asked of him and did it well. Jacob Wiedering, I gave my 2 votes to, especially early on. He was like the Great Wall of China back there in defence. Nothing could get past him. And I thought, he played an excellent game by and large. And Tom De Koning as well battled on manfully in the ruck. I think he let Nankervis off the leash a little bit at times to go into the forward line, and Nankervis kicked 2 very important goals, so it sort of marked him down a little bit because of that. But it was a great battle in the ruck, and I think both players actually would have been in their team's best players, both Nankervis and De Koning. But you can see why he is going to be a vital player to us this year, because, God forbid, if anything was to happen to him, I reckon we'd be in some serious trouble in the middle of the ground. Special mentions I'd like to give that I couldn't quite fit into the votes was Jack Silvani. I thought he actually had a really good initiation in defence, and for the limited time when he was swung up to the forward line, as usual, by Michael Voss when the whole thing's too late, he looked more imposing down in that forward line than any of our forwards were for the whole game, in my opinion. And he kicked a nice goal there, the only goal we kicked in the last quarter. So special mention to him. Also, special mention to Lucas Camporeale. I thought it was a really, really worthy debut. He can hold his head up after that performance, and I would think he'd be a lock-in for next week. They're not going to drop him on that performance for sure. And the other one I wanted to give a little bit of a mention to was Ollie Hollands. I thought he battled also on his halfback flank quite well for someone who's playing in a brand new position, and he's still only, 20-odd years of age. So I thought Ollie Hollands might be well suited to that halfback line compared to the wing. So I thought he also made the adjustment from the wing to halfback quite well.
And look, I'll go through mine. Just Patrick Cripps, Wiedering, and De Koning again. I thought Ollie Hollands played well, but like most of them, I think some of his disposal let him down a little bit, or else he missed a few targets. Yeah, James says he can't kick.
Yeah,
so
he's got to work on that.
But he wasn't alone.
You could see he was trying. He was really trying to.
Hold up. He got 3 votes for effort. He got 3 votes for effort. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And we have a leaderboard. So our leaderboard is Patrick Cripps, Jacob Wiedering, and Tom De Koning, but it's only round 1. And as per last year, David, you have your Spirit of Carlton Award. And just let me... And this year goes to...
Wondering which one he put up there this time. Lucas Caprioli, yes. But when Vince did ask me for that one, I actually put on there every Carlton supporter who stayed till the end.
Well, we could put that one next time.
They deserve the award. They really did deserve the award. But no, young Lucas, good first up game. So hopefully a promising future for him and a great career at Carlton. But we need to get some wins on the board, and it's got to start this week. And hopefully, it's a massive turnaround. It's going to be a massive turnaround this week. So,
talking of this week,
yep,
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. Thursday night.
This again. Thursday night, 20th of March, the MCG at the Coliseum. Carlton are going to be thrown to the Lions, literally the Hawks. So, David, what do you think?
Well, I have to go.
You have to go.
I have to go. We're in the president.
I'm flying in from Bangkok for it.
Well, we're in the president's lunch, and I've got clients and everything to entertain. So, which is bloody not good for me at the moment because I'm off the drink as well. So,
mate, if you get back on, you can blame the Carlton Football Club.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've had plenty of opportunities for that, I suppose. So, yeah. But look, I think it'll be a tough game, and from what I'm seeing so far, we're going to get smashed. We're going to get smashed because Hawthorn are relentless and they don't ease up, and this will be the litmus test to where we're going to be at the end of the season. Because if we don't stand up and to a man out on that football field, no broken tackles, no missed bloody 5-metre handballs. We need to have our heads screwed on right, and because if we don't, they're going to pump us. They are dead set going to pump us.
What did you think of their performance? Just before I give you my thoughts on that, what did you think of Hawthorn's performance against Essendon? And did you see any weaknesses in their performance that we could hone in on and take advantage of and show them up in a similar way to what Essendon did, especially after quarter time?
Yeah, look, you're 20 against 20, and then they haven't got superstars out there. They've got blokes who just have a real fair income dip. They've got pace. They got blokes who are prepared to run and run a long way. So they got players who want to play, who want to run, who want to exhaust themselves, I suppose, and we don't have those types of players at the moment. So they'll run us off our legs if we're not fair income. And so I don't know if we don't turn up and we come out with a poor attitude, they're going to smash us. They're going to smash us, and I hope that doesn't happen. But on form, it will happen.
Scrimshaw will be missing, not only because he had a bad collision where he went off the ground. I think he had a broken nose or something, but he certainly would have been missing through the concussion protocols. But he also received a 3-match suspension for a hit on an Essendon player. I think it was Ridley. So he'll be missing for Hawthorn. That'll be a big blow for them, Scrimshaw.
You know what? I'd love one of our players to get reported. I'd love one of our players. We don't get reported because we're soft as bloody marshmallows. They're too nice.
I've heard a rumour.
Get a player or two reported.
The big rumour is we're going to recruit Tonya Harding. She's going to go smash all the opposition legs.
Yeah. Might be our only chance.
Most of our audience won't even know who Tonya Harding is.
No, I think they do.
Left by now.
Anyway,
on Google, you can Google anything these days.
Apparently, Warple's going to be missing.
Will be missing. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
But we're going to have a few out too. I mean, I don't know how ready Charlie Curnow will be.
You hope they don't.
You just hope that they're not rushing him back, and he'll be actually right to go. But if he is right to go, he'll certainly be a big asset. Look, I think if there's any pride in these players, they will come back hard this week. And I think we will be largely competitive in this game. Don't ask me why, but I just get the feeling that there'll be some real desperation in those players on Thursday. If they get smashed again in the way they were in those last 2.5 quarters on Thursday, and Hawthorn do it to us for 4 quarters, well then, we're going to lose by a very big margin. And I dare say if we do lose by a very big margin, there'll be some serious questions asked of Michael Voss and the playing group if they don't show something this week. They've really got to respond.
Yep.
It was literally embarrassing on Thursday.
Well, it was.
So here's our tips.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying 36 points, and that could be light.
That's why I've put
if they get hold of us. I think if it's a close game, we'll win it. But I think I don't think it'll be a close game, unfortunately. And I'm only going on the form, and I'm not picking with my heart this year. I'm picking with my head. So Hawks by 36.
And Vince, 8 points. Are you serious?
Yeah, I am.
Are you talking about the quarter time margin?
Call me optimistic, but
optimistic
or delusional. But I think that we will come out and play a much better brand of football for a lot longer, and we will remain in the game for a fairly long time. And I think Hawthorn will tire in that last quarter. I don't know that they'll have quite the same energy levels as they do when they've got a 7 or 8 day break. So I'm clutching onto straws, I know, but I'm just thinking that we'll be in the game. I'm still choosing Hawthorn. When the crunch comes to crunch, they'll probably kick a goal or two and still win. But I'm hoping that we can be a lot more competitive this week.
Yeah, well, I don't even know. I can't even guess the end of the game. I reckon I'll be up by 60 points at half time. I think you'll find another Carlton Brisbane. What was it, that preliminary final? It'll be 60 points, and then they'll come out.
That was the elimination final.
Elimination final, yeah. But anyway,
let's hope not. Again,
sorry, David.
I just noticed with the welcome to the Hawthorn show. While the tips are up there, but I'll be there. I'll be there barracking hard, but I really do hope they can turn it around, because I think if that doesn't sting, then we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble if they don't come out in that first quarter on Thursday night and just go hard as they can at Hawthorn, at the body, at the player, at the ball. Whatever's in front of you, you just have to go a million miles an hour at it. And that's just from your tallest bloke to your smallest bloke. If we don't see that, then we're in for a bloody long year.
Yep. All I can say is I'm flying 11 hours to come and watch this crap. I was going to come and watch it.
It'll be our first home game of the year.
Hopefully they
maybe
come out.
Maybe I'll be the bad luck charm. Who knows? Hey, look, David, we've taken enough of your time, so we really appreciate you coming on and being honest. We will see you next Sunday night, and I look forward to catching up with you when I'm in Melbourne on Thursday and in the next 10 days.
Fantastic. All right.
All right, then, David.
The weather's just
have a good one, mate.
All right.
See you.
Good on you, guys.
Go the Blues.
Thanks, mate.
Well, there you go, Vince.
Great to have the great David Rhys-Jones back with us again.
Welcome to the Hawthorn Show. Go Hawks.
Sammy
Mitchell.
I really do believe you'll see a very different Carlton outfit next Thursday night.
Well, for your sake and my sake, I hope so. But anyway, hey, Vince, there are a few other games happening this weekend, starting with...
Yes, well, apart from our debacle on Thursday night, the following night we saw Hawthorn 17-9, 111, defeat Essendon 12-13, 85. This game was largely won after quarter time, by quarter time. Hawthorn kicking 6-1, I think it was, in the first quarter. So when you look at the end result, that was pretty much the margin at quarter time. So Essendon kept up with them after that. And look, they had more of the clearances and, had a lot more of the ball than what Hawthorn probably did too. But they just couldn't quite claw their way back to challenge them in the end. But Essendon were a lot better after quarter time. But, a few key injuries too to them. They'll probably struggle after some of those injuries that they copped. Then you've got Geelong. Well, this was a massacre down at the Cattery. 23-9, 147. Geez, you'd be worried about your defence if they considered 23 goals in round one. To the Fremantle Dockers, 10-9, 69. And they've had a very good record down there in recent years, but not yesterday. They got absolutely smashed by 78 points. Then we had a classic over at the SCG, the grand final replay between the Sydney Swans and the Brisbane Lions. I watched a fair bit of this game, and what a great contest and a great fight back by Brisbane. Sydney had the upper hand early, got to 4 or 5 goals in front, but Brisbane just wore them away and eventually got in front and stayed there by the final siren. So 12-14, 86 to the Lions, last year's premiers, yet again defeating the Sydney Swans 12-10, 82. Sydney have lost their first 2 matches, Joe, but they have played 2 very good teams in Hawthorn and last year's premiers Brisbane. So if you're a Sydney supporter, you wouldn't be jumping off the bandwagon too quickly. Okay. But they'd want to win this week against Fremantle over in Perth. They wouldn't want to go 0-3, would they? And then, of course, last night, Collingwood, well, why do teams perform so poorly one week and then absolutely brilliantly the next? I can't work it out. They were terrible against GWS last week, but last night they came out and absolutely massacred Port Adelaide. 21 goals, 10, 136. To Port Adelaide, a listless 6-9, 45. And, the less said about that one, the better. Also last night, the Western Bulldogs, injury-depleted Western Bulldogs, 17-11 and 113, still too good for North Melbourne, 14-13, 97. If North couldn't beat them last night, after all of those injuries, they'll never beat them. Today, Melbourne looked the goods for most of the day today, but couldn't quite get over the line. The Giants kicked the last 2 goals of the game and snuck home by 3 points, 11-11, 77 to Melbourne, 11-8, 74 in a classic game at the MCG. And we also have you got the Adelaide St Kilda? There it is. Adelaide a very comfortable 10-goal win here over St Kilda. 21 goals, 9, 135. To St Kilda, 10, 12, 72, a 63-point win. And Adelaide looked the goods there today. And so far, we've got a Gold Coast, West Coast game. Is that over yet?
No, it's 8 minutes to go. It's West Coast Eagles 6-6, 42 to the Suns 18-15. The Gold Coast 123. Gold Coast are 81 points up. And for those interested,
probably win that game.
Yeah, for those interested, Matthew Owies has gone off with an ankle injury. Let's get to the ladder, which apparently doesn't mean much till like round 24. If those of you listened to Vince's rant last week, you'd understand why. But Vince, go ahead.
Yes, well, that first column with the P up above saying how many games you've played is probably more of a relevant stat than all the others. GWS, Giants and Hawthorn are the only two teams here to have played 2 games and won them both. So the Giants on 8 points and a percentage of 143. Hawthorn also on 8 points, 128.6. Geelong, massive win. That was their first game and the percentage over 200. Adelaide, also a big win, percentage of 187. Collingwood, well, they've made up for the loss of last week and now their percentage has gone well over 100 again. Then you've got Richmond with a narrow win, Western Bulldogs with a narrow win, the Brisbane Lions with a narrow win. Couple more. Oh, we don't have a couple more. Okay. Well, of course, you're going to have the Suns. They're going to have a big win, so they'll jump into the 8. So they'll jump into the 8.
They will probably go
ahead of Brisbane.
They'll probably go 6th with their percentage, maybe even 5th.
No. If it's 123 to 45 or something, they'll actually go ahead of Geelong. They'll go to 3rd.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Because percentages worked out based on the points conceded, dividing that into the points scored. So based on that, Gold Coast will be almost 300%. But anyway, yes, the lowly Port Adelaide, they had the smashing there. What's their percentage? 33.1. It doesn't matter much right now. It's only the first couple of games of the season.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You really got to give it 5 or 6 weeks to see how the ladder starts to shape up after that.
We do. Vince, you know what time it is?
Tell me.
It's time for Vince's verdict. Now, last week we were critical. Last week we were critical on opening round, weren't we?
Yep.
What is it this week?
Well, this week I'm gonna. After Thursday night's performance, I thought I had to make my verdict about Carlton this week rather than the AFL. Okay. Which, by the way, I'm going to endeavour to refer to them by what they should be called, which is the WFL, the Woke Football League. Football. No, the Woke Football League. That's what they are.
Yeah.
But, look, I went back and had a look at some of the videos leading up to that game against Richmond. And I saw Jacob Wiedering interviewing a Grand Prix driver. I saw Michael Voss having a press conference saying how well prepared everyone is and how raring they are to go and how, the players have done everything we could ask of them and da-da-da-da-da. It's amazing. If you go back over the videos before a game like Thursday night, then you realise just how much you're being deceived. It's all smoke and mirrors. Seriously, the club annoys me when it just keeps pumping out one PR exercise after another. And it's all about just pumping up the supporters to try and sell memberships and all that sort of thing. And I understand that that's probably what all clubs do to some extent, but I don't think anyone does it as shamelessly as Carlton does. And I just want to say how embarrassed I was on Thursday night after that performance, and to think that team and that football department had 6 months, more than 6 months, but let's call it 6 months, 6 months to prepare for that game. And that's what they served up. And I know we've had some, as I said to Rhys before, I know we've had some things happen along the way which have probably upset the apple cart a little bit down at the club, whether it be what happened with the president or what's happened recently with Elijah Hollins and all that sort of thing. And, of course, key players going down with injury like Nick Newman and Jagger Smith. But that's no different to any other year. But that performance there was nothing short of arrogant. And I think that the problem at Carlton is that they're drinking their own bathwater. They are believing their own bullshit. And when you look at some of the interviews, even the ones like the one that Harry Mackay did, I think was maybe on a podcast, and he said how
with his brother.
At the end of the day, you know, playing in grand finals doesn't define you as a player. Well, mate, if that's how you're going to have, if that's the mindset you're going to have, well, then you're probably not going to play in too many grand finals. I mean, why do the players not come out and send the right message? Why is it that people at the club are not instilling that into the players to say, hey, we need you to be thinking, no, we are chasing a premiership and we're going to chase it hard. We're going to leave no stone unturned than to win a premiership. And it means a lot to us, and we're going to do everything possible to achieve it as a group. But I don't hear that coming from the mouths of Carlton players. I don't even hear it really coming from the coach. And I certainly haven't heard much from anyone at board level about that. And that's what's the problem at Carlton. I've been saying it for years, and I don't think anything's really changed.
Vince,
people come and go, but the culture at this football club is set from the top, and it filters through to the bottom, and it's not a winning culture. I don't think winning a premiership is the be all and end all for these people.
Vince,
and that's why we're probably still miles away from winning one.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe the players don't understand how passionate us supporters are? Because Carlton supporters are fairly passionate, right? I know most teams say
we've got Carlton supporters are as passionate as anybody, Joe.
Well, let me finish.
Yeah,
don't interrupt.
Yeah.
Everyone says our supporters are passionate, right? You go to Collingwood and Richmond and that. But when we were down the bottom of the ladder, we still had 80,000, 90,000 members, right?
Yeah.
You have a look at Richmond before Thursday night. They had half as many members. I just don't think that the players really understand how passionate and what that team means to them. I think to them, they just go for the paycheck.
Yeah.
And you know, you see video footage of supporters hanging over the rafters, shouting out crap, you know. I just don't get. I mean, no one goes out to lose. We can all agree that no one goes out there not to put in, and no one goes out there not to lose, right? But I think there's some trigger that these guys they wait for someone else to do it. I don't know if it's inbred into them from the coaching panel. I don't know if it's inbred into them as people or if they've grown up. They just don't seem to really understand what playing for that jumper means. Would you agree?
I was at the Carlton Life Members Luncheon today, and a lot of us were having these sorts of discussions, and everyone basically agreed that back in the days when we were successful, 70s, 80s, 90s to a lesser extent, there was a culture of winning is the only option for us if we're going to be calling ourselves successful. Second place is not good enough. It was even written on the walls of the change rooms. I don't see that anymore. I think players these days largely play for the contract. Whether they change clubs or not, it doesn't. I don't think it bothers most of them. Yes, it would be ideal to be one club player, but at the end of the day, you know, if they're not offered the sort of money that they think they're worth or anything close to what someone else is offering them, they leave. So,
Vince,
if you're going to keep a team together, there's got to be a sort of a unified preparedness to sacrifice, even if it's financial, in order to keep that group together and win a premiership together. And, you know, a lot of us have probably been led to believe that we're in that window now, that we should be ripe to win a premiership. I even feel that, you know, when you look at our team on paper, in terms of how many games they've played on average, average age, all of that sort of thing, yeah, we should be cherry ripe to be finishing in the top 4 and to be challenging for a premiership. But the way we played on Thursday night, we're miles away if we think we're going to be playing in a grand final. So that's why I'm hoping and praying to some extent that we really come out and show what we're really made of on Thursday night.
You know, I used to be a big NFL fan, you know, NFL football.
You mean American football?
I got turned off it because these players were just playing for their next big contract, right? So I started watching college football, okay? Now, college football's supposed to be not professional, right? They're playing basically to see what club they go to. Yep. But they've changed the rules in the last 4 years, right? Where now the players can get paid money. And I saw what brought me to this is I saw this one kid, he's in his 3rd year of college, and he had 3 different universities tattooed on him. Because in his first year he got paid the most by college A, then college B came along and doubled his salary, so he got their tattoo. And then in the 3rd year, college C have come along. This is exactly what's happening in our game. Like Tom de Koning being look, and I don't blame them taking the money, right?
Yep.
But you know, he's not a $1.87 million a year player. He's not.
No.
Right?
But no one's offering him 1.8. No one's offering him that.
St Kilda are offered him that.
No.
Yes. Read, go back and read. That's what St Kilda want to offer him.
Is it that much?
Right? Yeah. And then there's some young kid at GWS.
Like $12 million over 7 years or something.
Something like that. There was one guy at GWS who was offered $18 million over 9 years or 7 years. And he came out and said, the money's not important. I'll leave it on the table. At least he said he wanted to be a one-club player. He's a good player. I can't remember his name. But, you know, he's still under contract. Yeah, okay, you're allowed to talk to him. But these figures bandied around. It's...
Yeah, look, I just think that it's a business these days. It's all about how much they can make out of it and set themselves up as you know, once their football career is over, that they can earn enough money to buy houses and investment properties and you name it. That's what they're looking for. Yes, there's a desire to win a premiership. Yes, it'd be nice to win a premiership, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all to these players. So to some extent, maybe Harry Mackay was being just simply honest and speaking for a lot of other players that he's probably spoken to about it. And yeah, if we win a premiership, great. But if we don't, not gonna lose any sleep over it. We as supporters, we are that passionate at Carlton that we care more. Just be under no illusions, Carlton supporters. We care probably 10 times more than what these players will ever care. And that's why we hurt when we lose. That's why we talk about it afterwards. That's why some of us even need therapy after a performance like Thursday night, because it really gets to us. We'll go to work the next day and we'll be pissed off and you name it. But I don't believe it anymore when I see players do press conferences and come out with the usual jargon, come out with the same prepared lines about, that was really disappointing. I heard 3 interviews after the match on Thursday night. I heard Sam Walsh, I heard Michael Voss, and there was one other. I'm trying to think of who it was.
Was it Jack Silvani?
Might have been Jack Silvani.
I heard an interview with him.
Yeah, they were all on the Carlton website. But anyway, every single one of them say the same thing. I'll tell you the guaranteed word that they will use after a performance like that: disappointing. Take it to the bank. Every time we lose, that's the only word that they get told to use. They don't say that was pitiful, that was shameful, that was embarrassing, that was, not up to standard. None of that. It's always just, quote unquote, disappointing. And that's the only word that all three of them used. But they are coached. They are coached and trained and mentored into saying all of these things by the Carlton PR department, who are basically there to create the smoke and mirrors that I've been talking about for years. It's all smoke and mirrors. Anyway, enough of my rant. Let's move on.
Enough of that. Vince,
yes,
it's time for your bet of the week.
Okay.
And can I say...
last week? Well, I chose Carlton I tipped Carlton by 72 points last week. And what did we lose by? 13. So I was 85 points out, Joe. So
we were out in the first leg.
Even the first leg we were out.
You're out in the first leg. Anyway.
I said that we should win. What did I backed us to win by 50 points or more. How wrong could I be?
Well, you got Geelong right, didn't you?
And I got North Melbourne right because they only lost.
You got North right and you got Adelaide right.
That's exactly. I got all the other three, but the one where I was relying on Carlton, that let us down.
Vince, it's called a quaddie for a reason, not a try. Not a try.
It's not a quaddie. It's a 4-leg.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, this week, I can't believe this. Go on, tell us.
Okay. Now, I selected Hawthorn by 8 points, and that's why I've got the first leg as Carlton with a buffer zone of 13.5. So what that means is that I'm tipping Carlton to either win the game or lose by no more than 13 points. Okay?
Well, I can just put up now loss. Anyway, next.
The second leg is the Collingwood game. Who are they playing again, Joe? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. You picked them.
Yeah, I know, but I'm thinking of I'm trying to remember who they're playing. Can someone in the chat remind me who Collingwood's playing?
Western Bulldogs.
Right. Bulldogs. Okay. Well, I'm tipping that Collingwood's going to win by at least 4 points. Okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay.
Well, that's the line. These are all line.
No,
lines.
I know.
All right.
Geelong are playing St Kilda.
They've probably changed. They've probably changed since I looked at these last night. That's okay.
Geelong are playing St Kilda.
I'm going for Geelong to beat St Kilda by at least 17 points. That's why we've got Geelong at minus 16.5. And I'm also going for Essendon to win by a minimum of 2 points. And they are playing the Adelaide Crows at the MCG, which I think will be an absolute cracker of a game. No wonder the line is so close.
Yeah.
Each leg, therefore, pays $1.90, same as last week. When you multiply them all together, someone said to me, why don't you just do $1.90 times 4? And it's not $1.90 times 4.
It's not.
It's $1.90 to the power of 4, if you want to use that analogy.
For those mathematicians.
So $13.03 is the odds. So we have another betting outlay of $10. We lost our first 10. And this time, if it comes off, we'll get back $130.30. No.
For some reason, that didn't work. I don't know why, because it does on my PowerPoint.
Because we're on Carlton. Anyway, we've lost our first $10.
Anyway.
Thanks to Carlton.
Vince, that brings us to the end of the show. So let's have a bit of a recap.
And Jumper Punch channel coming shows this week,
Yeah, Jumper Punch Tuesday night. Forever Rivals Wednesday night. I haven't seen. Has Rash still got his show on a Thursday night?
I think he has. I'm not sure whether it's starting yet. If it is, keep your eyes on the notifications.
Yeah, and then the jewel of the crown is what's that Blue Sunday thing? It's on Sunday night.
Yeah, couple of old bloke Carlton supporters that talk rubbish every Sunday
night. Couple of desperate old blokes. And I'll be coming to you from Melbourne next week.
Yes, looking forward to having you in Melbourne town next week, Joe. You won't know what hit you. Actually, you know what? The good thing is that we're actually going to have some warm weather for you as well, just in case you were fretting about Melbourne's cold weather. But we're still having days of well into the 20s and up into the high 20s.
That's cold for me.
Next week.
It's freezing. Freezing. 37 degrees here. I'm going to go for a swim now.
Yeah, so you're going to get all of our followers are going to ring you soon, booking a holiday over in Thailand.
Yeah, it should. So don't forget, you can find us on Facebook at Blue Sunday. And if you tune in to Jumper Punch, you'll see us on YouTube. Don't forget, please like, share, and subscribe. We do this show for you guys, and we do appreciate everybody that has commented this fine Sunday. We've even had a few donations. I've put them up on the screen. We really appreciate that, guys. But that's not why we do it. Vince and I do it because we actually love the Carlton Football Club for some unbeknownst reason. They don't seem to show that same love back, Vince.
Yes, so they don't love us as much as we love them. Does anyone know the feeling?
On that note, Vince, it's a goodbye from me, and it's
a goodbye from me too, Joe.
All right. So until next Sunday, if anyone sees me at the football Thursday night, please feel free, come up, say hi. You feel free to buy me a beer. Not that I drink beer, but I'll have a Coke Zero instead. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and see you next Sunday.
Go Blues.
1